Okay, we are live across the West Coast. Welcome to the show, Carrie. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to get into this right away. You are, you know what? Let's start with a proper introduction. And for those that don't know me, I'm Ed Kaminsky with SportStar Relocation and EXP Luxury here in Manhattan Beach, California. Carrie, introduce yourself.
I am Carrie Wellhouser. I'm with Cascade Sotheby's International in Lake Oswego, Oregon. And I am a principal broker and I specialize in athlete uh, agency.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks. So, Carrie, being one of our local area representatives that we have across the country, it's often returned to you for some of the really detailed work that happens with players. Um, and I'm excited to really dive into that because I think some of the things that you really do are special and different. And I think those that are listening a lot love to hear about that. But before we go there, why don't you tell us about your greater area market, area served, and just tell us about that.
Okay. Well, the Portland metro area has been improving about 3% a year. Nike is headquartered here at the World Campus, which is huge for Portland. That would be the largest employer. Intel has a huge presence here as well. So they call it the Silicon Forest as opposed to the Silicon Valley. So we've got quite a few corporate headquarters. Adidas Americas is here, Keen Footwear moved here recently. So we're kind of getting known as a sportswear hub. So we've got a lot of industry around sportswear. The median price of houses in the metro area is right around 500,000 to 600,000.
So the median price is 500 to 600. And would you say that is in the suburbs? It's in the city? Can you kind of describe the lay of the land in Portland? If someone's moving to Portland, what would they expect to see? Right? In certain cities. Take a Boston, right? It's a tight little city, and it's the city, or New York City's the city, unless you go out to the burbs, right? So describe Portland for us if we've never been there.
Yeah, so Portland is a unique town. The motto for Portland is "Keep Portland Weird," which is the sister city to Austin, Texas. And so Portland is known for a very liberal culture, one that wraps itself around microbrews and specialty coffees. And if anyone's seen the show Portlandia, there's a satire on how Portland operates as far as its liberal nature. So it's known to be a very welcoming city, a very open city. Downtown is very livable. We have the Pearl District, which is what makes most of the news, which is kind of a metropolitan area of the downtown Portland area. And then off from there, you'd find more boho chic style mini nooks within the downtown area. And then when you get into the suburbs, the east side would be flat and turn of the century, where in the suburbs, when you go to the west side where Nike is, it would be sprawling suburbs, tract homes, upper scale, homes on hills with big views. So it's definitely an east side, west side city with the Willamette River running straight through.
And so what would be considered the high end of the market?
The high end of the market would be where I am, which is Lake Oswego, West Lynn, which would be southern suburbs of the city of Portland. And Lake Oswego reminds me a lot of Santa Monica, where I just was recently. Lake Oswego is a private lake where there would be 800 homes that skirt the lake that you would have private boating rights. And Lake Oswego brings in a lot of affluent people and buyers, and it also brings in a lot of seasonal people that own in Lake Oswego and live here, for a short portion of the year, and they have other homes elsewhere.
That's great. Great description. If anybody happens to be watching out there live, there is a place to post. So if you have a question for Carrie or I, feel free to put it in the comments and we'll try to pay attention to that. Since we're talking sports, what sports teams are in your market?
So Portland really is wrapped around the NBA. So basketball is our thing. There's no NFL team, unfortunately. We do have soccer. We have the MLS here, and there is workings on having the MLB here at some point, and that's been talked about for a couple of years. But for us natives, we've always wrapped ourselves around the Portland Trailblazers.
Are you a fan?
I am a huge fan.
So you talked a little bit about the lay of the land. So again, I'm just thinking from the perspective of you're being relocated to Portland, whether you're a trailblazer or you're working at Nike, whatever it might be. How do you pick the sub markets to live in? I mean, how do you know which one to go pay attention to?
Well, geographically, it gets pretty intuitive. When you're out at Nike, based on traffic patterns and freeways, you would generally be in Beaverton. If you're going, if you're going to work at Hillsborough or at Intel, you generally be in Hillsborough. So it seems like most of the people that are relocating to Portland want to be, in traffic less than 20 to 25 minutes. So that really governs the geographics of where people live. Adidas Americas, which is a huge campus here, and they're secondary to Adidas Germany, they are close enough to the downtown area that people could live in an urban environment and still be within that 20 minutes to work. But typically it's governed by the commute in Portland. It's a wet commute like today. It's a very wet commute, and a lot of times the freeways get really stacked up, no different than in California. So usually the commute and livability, people not wanting to spend that much time in their cars here, is what governs what suburb they end up at.
What if it's a player? I know you've represented a lot of players in the Portland market. What's important to them when they're moving to the area, and how do you solve for that?
So in Portland, we have the triangle. So we have where they live, where they need to live, where they need to practice, and where they need to play and fly. So we use kind of a triangle concept. So they really need to be in Lake Oswego, West Lynn, which is where my office is, based on where the practice facility is and how to get to MODA. And that is really governed by their fitness. Instructors want them to be close to that practice facility, just so that they're there on time and they're able to make their commitments.
I've worked with so many different cities when it comes to athletes and the different sports. And I find with the NBA in LA, they tend to be really a bit more scattered than they are in other markets. Do you find that players live in generally the same areas together, or are they also living in different communities?
They would all the players right now live within 2 miles of where I'm sitting, maybe 3 miles. Yeah, so they're all consolidated in Lake Oswego, West Lynn. Back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, we'd have some guys that were in a different area, but as everything evolved, the players are out in Lake Oswego, West Lynn primarily.
How about the coaching staff and the other staff members of the team? When you interact with them and help them, do they have different needs than the players do that you're able to address?
They do. Firstly, their budget may not be, what some of the players are, but they do generally like the Lake Oswego, West Lynn area as well. And one notable part about Lake Oswego is the public schools are all 10 out of 10s, and they rival private school education. So not only basketball and executives and then corporate relocation, but the schools are also pulling a lot of people into Lake Oswego, West Lynn as well. So those are the benefits with a very livable, clean, safe city, great schools that I see not only the players, but also the staff migrate towards Lake Oswego.
I find across the country, schools are the biggest draw for where people want to live. Is that the only community in Portland that has great schools, or how would you rate your school system overall in Portland?
West Lynn, which would be a bedroom community from Lake Oswego, has great schools as well, 9 and 10 out of 10s on greatschools.org. There are a couple of, in the West Hills and, a couple of areas around downtown where some of the schools do well, but what you can see in the Portland metro area is that an elementary school will be great, a middle school will be fair, and the high school will be poor. So in order, performing wise, so in order to get all three schools to be excellent, you'll be in Lake Oswego or Westland.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So what if you had someone come to town and had no budget? They could spend anything they want. Where would you put them?
In the Portland metro area, I believe that they would end up on Lake Oswego, which they generally do if they come in that way. And that would look like, I recently sold a $7 million home on Lake Oswego, and that looks like a castle. And it, has a boat, garage that you're pulling in right under the home, and a beautiful saltwater pool that would have a view of the lake. And it's pretty striking when you have no budget.
Awesome. Or unlimited budget, right?
Or an unlimited budget.
Yeah. So I know you have gone really outside of what would be considered customary when it comes to serving athletes. And why don't you share what some of those special or unique things that you do for the players that is your specialty?
So I own a company called The Assist, and it's a lifestyle management company, and it was kind of birthed out of just being a concierge broker and doing a lot more than just selling real estate for the players specifically. So we provide, anything from moving companies, obviously staging services. We do car transport. We do special events for children, their Christmas parties, their birthday parties. We do home decor. We have designers on staff. We do in-home mobile grooming. We do jewelry. We do general maintenance. So we put a general contractor on each home that manages that home for the player. We bury bodies. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever they need, we'll take care of. There's very few times that I can ever remember not being able to help when asked for something.
It's a lot of services to provide. Do you ever go outside your marketplace for any of your clients to provide some of those services, or is it just within the Portland market?
Well, we expanded. Now we're actually helping athletes through the SportStar Relocation Network. That's where that relationship was birthed into, following the player into the next market, having an agent that also is versed in that type of concierge broker model, and then having them pick up those pieces under kind of what I developed as The Assist, very similar and very well partnered with SportStar Relocation to be able to make that template in each city that they go to.
That's great. What about, let's just say it's another client in the marketplace. They're not on the starting five of the Trailblazers, right? But they heard about your services you provide. Do you do that for anybody else, or is it just your elite clientele?
The Assist is an executive and athlete relocation company. So we do, it's easy to translate. So anyone who needs private aviation, anyone who needs, their dogs to be transported out to special trainers. I mean, we've done it all. So it really is translatable to anyone. They don't have to be an athlete.
Great. And then last question, SportStar Relocation, how has it been a help to you or your clients?
Well, when I reached out to you several years ago, I thought, well, this is a beautiful partnership, because the platform then would already have this great real estate agent that would be in these sports cities. And then what I could do is just partner shoulder to shoulder with them and then help with the network, that smaller frame network around them, if they were open to it. And everyone with SportStar Relocation has been very open to the idea. That's
great. And what would you say if somebody wanted to reach out to you, the best way to reach you?
Call me. You could call or email me. I'm always available and always ready to dig in.
Share it publicly, your phone number?
Oh, my phone number is 503-267-6687.
Great. And I assume we can find you on social media?
Yes, on Instagram, it's the NBA Home Girl.
Awesome. That's easy to remember. Yeah. Great. So anybody else that would be coming to Portland anything else we left out that you'd like to share about your great city, your market, your experience, and things you can do for them.
Yeah, no, we're here for you. The team is ready to rock and roll. We had our best year in 2022, so we just wrapped up. Everyone's super excited. Thank you. We have a young team on board in Portland. We're excited about it, and we're helping a lot of the athletes that have left here over the last 2 to 3 years still in other cities like LA. So we're just super excited. We're all ready to go. We're doing our business planning and planning trips and events, and we're super excited.
Awesome. Well, congrats on all your success, Carrie. It's amazing to work with you. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for jumping on today and putting yourself on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed.